Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2021-22 season. My name is Dan and today we are doing the differential team. Now, a couple of days ago, I made a video all about a team which had super low prices. Every player was 6 million or less and the total value of the team was only 75 million. And that was quite a challenge. And I enjoyed that challenge. You guys seem to enjoy that challenge a little bit as well. So I thought, come on, let's do another one. Let's do another team. So this time we're doing the differential team. Every single player in this team is 5% owned or less. I did try and do a team where everyone was under 1%. I tried again with everyone under 2%. The teams just looked bad. But this one with under 5% owned, it actually looks good. This is a genuinely usable team. If you are like a super risky guy and you just want to be different, but you want a really good team, this team could actually be insane. And I'm going to make sure that I take a record of how this team performs because it could be incredible. I don't know, guys. You're going to see it all in a second. But yeah, if you do enjoy this video today, please do leave a like. Please do subscribe as well. Of course, if you're new around here, I know a lot of you guys are not subscribed. Come on. Join the mates crew. Become a mate of mine. Come on. But what can I say, guys? I think we'll have a look at this team that I've come up with before that. A quick word from our sponsor today, which is, of course, Fantasy Football Hub, my favorite fantasy football tool. They have provided all the stats that I use in this video, and every single video pretty much I always get the stats from Fantasy Football Hub and their Opta stats tool. It's so useful for making good fantasy decisions, and there's so many other tools on there. Fixture difficulty ratings, you know, you can look at who has the best runs of fixtures coming up. There's other tools like comparing players. You can compare directly the stats from different players, and then you've got articles on there and different tools and everything. So much on Fantasy Football Hub, and I love it so much. And you guys can get 25% off if you use the link in the description. So go check it out. It is definitely going to be worth it if you're serious about your fantasy football. But without further ado, let's have a look at this team. So, all of the money has been spent in this team, unlike the other team. But yeah, here we go. We're starting goal with Henderson, 3.6% owned. Manchester United's goalkeeper. It's been confirmed that Henderson is going to start this season as the primary goalkeeper for Manchester United. And I'm not really surprised by that. He was really good last season, to be fair. And he's only 5 million on FPL. So FPL potentially underpriced Henderson a little bit here, considering he's going to be the main goalkeeper for one of the best teams in the league. That's insane value. He kind of averaged over 3 saves per game last season, 76% save rate. That's the third best in the league, by the way, guys. He's got an incredible save rate. 3.3 clean sheet rate, so 1 clean sheet every 3 games. Again, pretty good. United, they've got an improved defence here, so you might imagine this clean sheet rate goes up a little bit as well. We're talking about Varane coming into this team. Imagine that back line, guys. Luke Shaw, Varane, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka at right back. That's pretty incredible, especially if United are able to sign another central defensive midfielder. That really could be an insane defence there. So, Henderson, he's going to be a really good goalkeeping pick. If you're willing to go to a 5 million goalkeeper, Henderson's going to be absolutely insane. And he's differential as well. Such an easy way to get into that Manchester United defence. But we'll move on anyway to Azpilicueta, 3.5% this time. So he was actually the 7th highest points per start player in the league last year. Well, player, I mean defender really. So in terms of defenders, he was the 7th highest points per start. That's pretty impressive. That's kind of he had kind of around the same amount of points per start as Trent Alexander-Arnold. He was slightly better than Ruben Diaz, who's the same price incidentally, and he's better than Robertson as well. So when we're talking about Trent Alexander-Arnold, Robertson, who obviously are a lot more expensive than Azpilicueta, we look at this Chelsea defence and we see, okay, is this going to be the best defence in the league? Possibly. The second half of last season suggested that Chelsea are going to be the best defence in the league this year. So Azpilicueta, club captain, a mainstay in the team when he's fit and readily available. I know there's a little bit of rotation under Tuchel. That is probably the main concern with Azpilicueta, especially when you're paying 6 million for a defender. But I think it still looks really good, you know, particularly for how differential he is. Now, 0.42 shots per game is not too bad for what is essentially a centre-back. 1.08 key passes per game as well. So there is that little bit of attacking threat as well, which we really, really like. And that's what we really like. That kind of gets us the extra points if a player can provide a little bit of attacking threat as well. And you kind of hope so for 6 million, wouldn't you? Our next player is Zinchenko, 2.1% owned. Now, this is an interesting one because I know a lot of you guys are probably on either Diaz, maybe Cancelo, maybe John Stones. I actually think Zinchenko, considering he's the same price as John Stones, Zinchenko probably will play slightly more than Stones when fit, when available this year, because Stones will probably rotate a little bit with Laporte. And Zinchenko, I truly believe, is the first choice Man City left back. I think Man City are a better team when Zinchenko is playing, and that's kind of been proven. He's always been preferred in the difficult Champions League games, the difficult games. And whenever he's been available, he has been playing. Now, obviously, there's a little bit of rotation here, and there's maybe a little bit of a theme here with some of these players are a little bit rotation prone. It's kind of when they play, they look incredible though. So Zinchenko last season kind of underperformed a little bit. He had one shot and 0.93 key passes per game, yet he had no goals or assists. That's not likely to continue. When you're taking a shot and making a key pass every single game, eventually over 38 games, assuming you play that many, you are going to get goals and assists. So he had 4.5 expected points per start, which is the 6th best. Unfortunately, he got 3.93 actual points per game. That's still good, but he did underperform, and I think he can catch up with his stats because he's a good enough player to catch up with his stats, to be honest. But anyway, our final defender is Veltman. 1.4% ownership. Kind of surprising that he is quite that low, to be honest. Oh well, we kind of know that Lamptey is not going to be readily available for this first game, which means Veltman could fill it in at the right wing-back slot, which is quite nice. He played there a lot last season, to be fair. He was the highest points per game player, well, defender, of any 4.5 million defender who played more than 20 games. So every single defender that played more than 20 games last season, of the 4.5 million ones, Veltman was number one. Forget about your Luke Ayling. Forget about, who else we go about? Ait Nouri. Forget about Wesley Fofana. Veltman, number one out of 4.5 million defenders who played a lot of games. There we go. He had the most key passes per game at 0.88. That's joint with Ait Nouri as well. So when we talk about Ait Nouri getting forward and being creative, Veltman's the same kind of guy. He was also 6th for shots per game among the regularly playing 4.5 million players. So in terms of those cheaper players, Veltman consistently performed really well, and it's quite frankly shocking that he's only at 1.4% ownership. It really is. Obviously, Lamptey is slightly better when fit, but Veltman is not that far behind, and I think you can do a lot worse than to go for him as your Brighton defender. So let's move into midfield anyway. We've got Sadio Mane, 3.2% owned, which is it's tragic, really. I mean, it's just the fact that Salah's there that he's making Mane's ownership so low. People don't want to double up on those Liverpool attackers. I kind of understand why, but in the same way, Liverpool's opening fixtures are amazing. They start off against Norwich. We can say, oh yeah, Salah's more likely to score a couple of goals in that game, but if I told you right now that Mane was going to score 2 goals in the opening game against Norwich, you would fully believe that. You would fully believe that. So he does have that really high ceiling. He can be explosive. He's a little bit more streaky than Salah, which is why I think people prefer Salah. And then we kind of have the fact that Salah is on penalties as well. It kind of makes it worth going for Salah over Mane, but that doesn't mean that Mane's a bad pick, and I think you have to kind of view them in isolation a little bit. So, Mane ranks highly in a real broad variety of attacking metrics. Like, he's up there in pretty much every metric. 3rd best for big chances in the second half of the season, only behind Salah and Kane. So if you're looking for a player who's going to get a lot of big chances, out of every player in FPL, Mane, 3rd best in the second half of the season. That's so good. He has far more creativity than Salah and, well, Kane in the second half of the season anyway. He's so much more creativity as well. He was really quite a creative player last season, which was quite nice. Now, Liverpool play Norwich, Burnley, Palace, Brentford in their first 6 games. These are 4 incredibly amazing fixtures. Fair enough. A lot of you guys have gone for Salah. A lot of you guys have gone for one Liverpool defender. But is it worth going for a 3rd Liverpool player? Who are you going to pick? You're going to pick Robertson, pretty safe pick, fair enough. Are you going to go for Jota? Pretty explosive, but a little bit risk of rotation time. How much game time is he going to play? Or if you are really feeling spicy, Mane. Why not? Why not go for Mane as your second premium? If you want to risk, why not? That could be such a differential. It really could be the difference between a good start and an insane start, as long as you're willing to take the risk. We'll move on. Raheem Sterling, kind of hard to argue from a statistical point based on last year, because his stats, yes, they're fine, but not so good for his price, right? 11 million. He's a pretty expensive player. But he did get 10 goals and 9 assists last season. 19 goal contributions in 28 starts. That's not that bad, really. That's a goal return 2 out of 3 games on average. He's involved in 30% of City's goals when on the pitch as well. So I know a lot of people slate Sterling. He had a really good summer tournament in the Euros. He's probably England's best player. I think it's really harsh how a lot of people are writing him off completely. I do think there is possibility there, but there is another player I prefer from the Man City midfield, and it is Mahrez. It is Mahrez. He's at 3.8% owned, so only slightly higher than Sterling. 6.13 points per start last season, one of the highest in the league. He is involved in, again, about a third of City's goals when he's on the pitch, and when he's benched, he usually stays benched. And this is the key thing here. When we look at these City midfielders, we think rotation risk, rotation risk, rotation risk. The pep roulette is going to get us. It's scary. But with Mahrez, if he doesn't play, if he is benched, it's unlikely that he's going to come off the bench. He's not usually a player that they bring off the bench as an impact player. He's not that kind of guy. So if he starts, he starts. If he's benched, he pretty much just stays on the bench. So as long as you have cover on your bench, in your FPL bench, you can have your bench player just come straight in for Mahrez in the event that Mahrez doesn't play. Risk averted, tragedy averted, if you like. Mahrez is not going to come on for a one-pointer and ruin your game. Not going to happen. Well, it will occasionally happen, but it's not going to happen all the time. That's not a real worry. It shouldn't be a worry anyway, any more than any other worry. We've got Greenwood here, a superstar at the end of last season. Final 10 games among all midfielders. He was the 5th for points, only 1 point less than Salah over the final 10 games, and he had way more points than Bruno Fernandes as well, which is incredible. Greenwood had the most bonus points in those last 10 games, 3rd most shots, 2nd most shots in the box, 3rd most big chances, 2nd most goals, 6 goals, and an assist as well in those final 10 games, and he was involved in an insane 47% of United goals when he was on the pitch. That's so good. He's really clinical once again, and he's beating his XG as expected all the time. So as long as he plays, and there is Rashford not playing in the team, we think Pogba might drop down a little bit. Cavani's not going to be able to play every game. Greenwood is going to have some game time at the start of the season. We know this. We don't know how much, but we know there's going to be some game time for sure. So Sancho, is he going to be ready to play in the opening game? I don't think he will. Personally, I don't think Sancho's going to play this first game. Not 100%, but I would probably guess that he wouldn't, which means Greenwood, right wing, Cavani, striker. That makes sense to me for that first game in particular. So there we go. We've got Wilson up front. He kind of had an injury hit season, but Newcastle, when they really found their stride with him in the team, they really did. He was the 3rd best points per appearance among forwards with 5.15. So in terms of points per appearance, Wilson was only beaten by Kane and Vardy. That's insane over the course of the season. He's got the 3rd best expected goal involvement as well with 49%. So he's involved in so many of Newcastle's goals. He really is such an important player. And we spoke about Wilson a lot in yesterday's video as well, because I think he's fantastic. I really think he's an incredible differential pick, and I can't believe he is as lowly owned as 4.9%. It's criminal. Absolutely criminal. But we'll move on to Jimenez, 3% owned. Really hard to judge him based on last season, as he only played 10 games. He got 4 goals and an assist in those 10, and he played pretty well. But in the season before, he got 17 goals and 7 assists. In the season before that, in his first season in the Premier League, he got 13 goals and 10 assists. So he has that history, he has that record of doing really well. The fixtures aren't amazing to start off, but then Wolves fixtures turn incredible. So there is going to be a point where you're going to really want Jimenez in your team. He's going to be on the radar of everyone, particularly if he can pick up a goal or two in these difficult fixtures at the start of the season. He's also doing really well in pre-season, so it's going to be really nice to see him back on the pitch and playing. And let's finish off the team with Benteke, 1.2% owned. Ultra differential. You're probably thinking, Dan, what are you talking about? Benteke, why is Benteke in this team? Well, 10 goals and 2 assists last season. That's not too bad for a 6.5 million forward. But it's even better when you consider that Benteke only started 21 games last season and he got 12 goal returns. So per start, his stats are actually pretty mad among forwards last year. Like, really mad. So he was 4th for shots with 3 per game. 3rd for shots on target. 2nd for shots in the box. So we actually beat players like Kane, Vardy, DCL, Bamford, Antonio in terms of shots in the box. 4.29 points per start on average. Only Welbeck can beat that among players costing 7 million or less. I know Welbeck. We spoke about him a couple of days ago. Mad, absolute madness. But yeah, Benteke, he was kind of out of form earlier in last season. Then he kind of started more and more games. He started 12 out of the final 13 Palace games last season, and he scored in each of his final 4 appearances during the 2020-21 season. So if you're counting form from end of the season last year as form right now, you probably shouldn't, but if you are, then he's technically in form as well. So if you think Palace will do well and you think he's going to start, which the end of last season suggests he will start, then he actually genuinely could be a good pick, a risky one. But that's what this team's all about. Now, quickly on the bench, we have got Begovic, because Everton's goalkeeping kit is amazing. Seriously, go on the FPL app and look at Everton's goalkeeper kit. It's incredible. But no, seriously, probably amongst the 4 million goalkeepers, Begovic is probably the best player in terms of how good the goalkeeper is. Begovic is probably pretty good, and he has said in an interview that he's not there just to sit on the bench. He is going to challenge Pickford for his place in the team if he can. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, I do prefer Foster, but Begovic is 0.8% owned and Foster is like 30% owned. So Foster couldn't make the differential team, unfortunately. We've got Mbumo, who we spoke about yesterday, at 1.3% owned. We spoke about yesterday, not yesterday, the day before. So we won't talk about him today. We've got Ait-Nouri, 1.6% owned. Again, spoken too much about him. In fact, so much so that certain people have questioned whether I might be Ait-Nouri's agent. I'm not. I just really like him as a pick. And we've got Omar Bamadeli, who's in pretty much every team I make. He's at 2% owned, and I just like him as a 4 million option. Out of the 4 million options at the moment, he probably looks like the best one. Although I'm hoping that will change and we can have a slightly better one. But there you go, guys. The whole team ownership totals 39%, so 39% total ownership here, which means at least 61% of FPL managers won't even have one of these players, let alone the full squad of 15. For captains, just for fun, let's just give the captain's armband to Mane and vice captain to Mahrez. Why not? That sounds pretty good. I think Mane could have an incredible opening game, so that could be pretty interesting. And there you go. There's the team. Hope you like it, guys. It's super differential. It's super risky. I definitely would not advise going for every single player in this team, but maybe this has given you some inspiration of picking one or two of these players if you quite like the look of them, because they are all really good options in their own right. It's probably just a bit risky to go for every single one of them, is all I'm saying. But this team could be really genuinely incredible. Thank you for watching this video. I really hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please leave a like. Massively helps out the channel. And of course, subscribe if you're new around here and you want more FPL content. I've got loads for you coming. We've got so much more. We've got so much more exciting stuff to come. Don't worry about that. But yes, guys, if you want to follow me on Twitter, join my mini league, follow me on Instagram, whatever. All the links are in the description. Shout out once again to Fantasy Football Hub for providing all the stats. Of course, get the 25% off your subscription in the link. Definitely would recommend it. I'm obsessed with Fantasy Football Hub. I use it all the time, so hopefully, guys, you're going to get a kick out of it as well. But aside from that, that's pretty much it. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye bye.